This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon. This is the meeting of the Davenport Public Library Board of Trustees on Tuesday, June 15th in the large meeting room of the main library. My name is Steve Emming, President of the Board of Trustees. We'll proceed with our agenda. First item there is the roll call. Amanda Motto.
Here.
Joe Heinrichs.
Here.
Malavika Shrikandi.
Here.
Judy Lance.
Here.
Tom Engelman.
Here.
Maggie Motto.
Here.
Thank you. Let's see. And obviously I'm here, having introduced myself already, Steve Emming. Let's see. Craig Cooper and Sylvia Roba are not in attendance at this time. We do have a quorum, so we'll continue with the agenda. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
As almost.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you, Malavika. Thank you, Tom. I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. I'll call for the vote. Amanda?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Malavika?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Maggie?
Yes.
And my own vote is yes. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public with comment. There is no one present or attending the meeting virtually with comment, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, reports and communications. First item there is the Friends. Amy, do we have anything from the Friends?
Yeah, so at their meeting last week, the Friends voted to support the program that we're going to be having here at the main library during alternating currents. So, and we will also be applying for some grant funding for that program from the Downtown Davenport Partnership. And then they also voted to support purchase of backpacks with pre-assembled school supplies to give out at the Fairmont Block Party at the end of the summer.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good for the Friends. They're always there to help. Next item on the agenda under reports and communications is committee reports. Finance, anything from finance, Tom?
Just looking at the budget recap as of June 4th, I mean, we're 91% of the way through the year, but our expenses are just a little bit under that, so it would appear that we're being judicious in our spending. And then they also presented a copy of the upcoming year's budget. So you can see that one for the fiscal year 22 budget.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Next item under committee reports is Personnel Committee. Amanda, anything? Okay, nothing? Thank you. Next item under committee reports is Advocacy. Malavika, anything to share?
I was there for the DEI meeting last month. We had it on May 19th.
Okay.
And some excellent, as a part of board liaison, and some excellent ideas and thoughts were shared on how to approach various nonprofits that we have here. You know, how do we, outreach people that we've not been able to outreach for any reason for that matter. And now we're also trying to identify individual contacts to reach out. So like, I would be reaching out to you all to, if you know any nonprofits and if you have any contacts, how we can further help our library to get in touch for, continuing our outreach programs and things like that. So I think we're meeting tomorrow for the month of June here. Last May 19th was my first meeting. So it was really excellent to hear and share a few thoughts and ideas. The second one that I wanted to share was Quad City Chamber of Commerce, as you might know, sends out those newsletters. Members of the chamber are generally public who have signed up. I am on their downtown Davenport, I don't remember the name of the committee, so I have to write it down. On their downtown Davenport Welcoming and Inclusive Task Force. And when I received their newsletter, I realized that they have us on there, but they have our older photos. So I just made a suggestion that, they could come in maybe, take some nice lovely photos of our new renovation, have it up. So, I made a suggestion.
Yeah, I think Brittany already, we noticed that, Brittany shared.
Oh,
Yeah.
fabulous. There we are. Lastly, and you just mentioned, Steve, about friends helping. No, sorry, you just mentioned about friends helping with backpack. Target, as we all know, and I know it's a for-profit store, but they help a lot with nonprofits. So Alex Washington is their new general store manager here at Target. He's also a St. Andrews alum. So I was talking to him and I said, how do we, especially Friends is a nonprofit, Friends of DPL is nonprofit, and Target does something where if we are on their website, I don't know how to get there. So I said, tell me, how do we get there? And then, if you're a part of that list of 7-8 people that they have, they send those newsletters to, customers, maybe if we've signed up or we've bought things online, and then we vote. And those nonprofits that receive X number of votes, I don't know what their equation is, they get a donation from Target. And so I said, Friends of Danforth Public Library, I told him, as it's a nonprofit, so what do I need to do to get there? So he said, just send me the information. So, I wanted to pass this on for Jerry and Friends that, we can get on there to get more. Then I said, what else do you do if you can help? Because, they share a lot of funding for reading and sharing books and he said, just send me all the information that you have, if Friends could send things like what all we do and what help we need. They said, we would be more than happy to start making a connection in some way or the other. I don't know what it would be, but it would just be a start of a relationship, maybe, I don't know. Lastly, NHS at Central, National Honor Society at Central, they need to have volunteering programs. They're all 17-plus-year-old students. They need to have volunteering programs. And then, so I mentioned to them that we do have we have the block party at Fairmount. We need help with certain things, maybe set up or maybe take it down or whatever it might be. And they're all 17-plus-year-old students. So I got in touch with Bianca. I said, what do we do if we have, and this is the group we want them to come into the library, that's more so, and see what we have and things like that. So Bianca did share with me the volunteering form, it's better to have them officially, registered. So the kids are going to do that. So hopefully they come if, so I shared that option with them. So these are the 3 things I wanted to share with you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the report, and thank you for all the leads. That's good. Thank you. Before I go on to the agenda, I was remiss in not introducing the people who are in attendance at the meeting who aren't trustees, so I'll do that now. We have Amy Groskoff, the library director, Lexi Reiling, the assistant director, Jennifer Williams, the HR operations manager, Tracy Moore, development director, Casey Shipley, recorder, and also with us in person is Marion McGinnis, the City Council liaison to the library. So thank you, folks, and sorry I overlooked you earlier. Okay, moving on. Next item under reports and communications on our agenda is the director's report. Anything to add or amplify, Amy?
Sure. I'm not going to talk really much about the CARES Act funding and the city council process on that, because Mary's going to cover that, because she certainly knows more about the details of the council process on that. I wanted, in case as you're looking at the FY22 budget sheet that Casey prepared, if you notice that building maintenance is zeroed out, that's because the city has, they're changing how they're going to be doing that accounting. Previous years, there's been a dollar amount there, and then they charge us by the hour for facilities maintenance staff. City facilities maintenance staff, so kind of a chargeback thing. So they're going to stop doing that. So that's why that number is a zero, in case you were saw that and wondered about that particular change. For the renovation project here at Maine, we are, believe it or not, still waiting delivery of the doors. Yeah.
And it's only the restroom doors.
So, and the other door, which is also important to us, is the door that goes from the new study room area to the staff workroom, the circulation workroom. So right now, that's preventing us from making those study rooms available because we can't secure that space. So based on the latest delay, I asked if they could just figure out some variety of a temporary door they could put up there so we can make those meeting rooms or those study rooms available.
Heated curtains.
Yeah. So it's just, that's where materials are returned and processed and the sorter is. And so, I mean, there's just way too much, potential for members of the public getting back in there. And then we'll be, I think, probably looking at going back to Leggett and asking them to put together a package for signage so we can go out for bid on signage. We didn't do that initially because, again, we were so concerned about budgets, we didn't include a sign package. But it looks like we'll be looking to do that upcoming for that to help finish off the main renovations. And after we do that, we'll start looking at landscaping and a few other things. We did hold our very first in-person program last week in the Children's Garden at Fairmont. So that went really well. The staff said that it worked out well. There was a little bit of trepidation because it's so different, like doing a kids craft program outdoors and, what are the differences with that and how's that all going to work? And it sounded like it went really well. And we do have some bids that were due back this morning, so we'll be getting a report from city purchasing on that soon for some masonry repair at Fairmont. So that's a project that was just added in kind of super late. There was additional CIP funding available for the city, so they asked us for some of the small maintenance projects that we haven't been able to fund, but need to fund, but this doesn't rise to the level of a full CIP project. It should be under $25,000. So be looking at getting that done. And then the strategic plan report from Wasson and Associates, we should be receiving the feedback, kind of assembled in aggregate from the focus groups. I believe it's this week. If not this week, then next week from them, which we'll then share with the board. So I think that's it, unless anybody has any questions.
Questions?
On the budget, are you anticipating losing some temporary people or something? I noticed salaries went down all three branches.
For the fiscal 22, the salary.
Oh, no, they went up, didn't they?
Yeah, the salary.
Okay, I'm sorry. Read the wrong sheet.
Okay. Yeah, we are below operating. I mean, for fiscal 21, a lot of that is salary. We had, during the height of the pandemic, we had some vacant positions that we just simply left vacant. Those student positions in particular, since we were planning to change that, how we accomplish that task anyhow. So that's the reason for a lot of that. And of course, supplies, we weren't going through the normal amount of supplies and things that we generally would do because we didn't have patrons in our buildings. So.
Amy, do you know when the strategic plan surveys will come out or have been done already?
So those surveys will come out after this report because their survey questions will be based on the report, because the purpose of the survey is to validate what they heard in the focus groups.
Okay. And just wanted to mention in Amy's written report that was sent out, mentioned in there that the RFQ responses for the help in finding a director search firm, that those are due at 2 o'clock today. So when we get those, we'll send information out and probably, I guess my main point is we'll most likely have to have a special meeting to try to keep things moving along as best we can. So send out that message now. Okay. Next item on the agenda is our council liaison report. Do you have anything, Marion?
Just a couple of things. Amy had asked me to talk about the CARES Act and that process. So what happened last week is we council was presented with a list. At that point, I think it started at 53 different possibilities, and then council was able to add some, some things that they might have an interest in, and these were the way the list started. They did do a public survey, and there were like over 500 respondents, which is really good. That's really good and unusual to be that much. Some things, of course, didn't qualify. There's no infrastructure in this in terms of roads, things like that people are always obviously concerned about roads, and that's not applicable. So, but there were other things, and then staff met, including the library. They had input some ideas of how to spend the money, and so that anyway, that was all brought together. So over the weekend, council was asked to rank all of these 58 from 1 to 58, and then to pick the top. Everybody could pick the top 5. So we've just received that. We just received that last night. I can't really, we're going to talk about it today at our meeting. I can't really say anything because after our meeting today, which is our management update meeting, and it's public, it's public information. So in any case, and there, I mean, it ranged everything from, capital projects to on the list where it was capital projects, everything from flooding to there was some library things. There were programmatic things, really a variety of from all across the city. There were the list didn't include very much specific to this, outside agency, this give out this outside agency this or this outside agency that, and there was, that's not the way the list felt. The list was more about program areas than picking one agency, independent agency over another. So there's not a lot of that in it. It's more about program areas, so big, broad things. Now, the next steps are for us to review this and what, because we met and discussed it last Tuesday, and then the goal is by about August to kind of have a sense of which programs will be followed through and which the council will have to vote on before we can go forward. There is a great deal of urgency in this because most of the money, unless it is infrastructure like sewers and things like that, which does count, has to be either spent by December 31st of 2024 or designated by December 31st of 2024 with 2 more years to spend it. That's not a lot of time to deal with a great deal of money, and if it requires engineering and plans and they're big projects, that is not a lot of time. So that's why we're trying to move methodically but smoothly and rapidly through this process. There's just not a lot of time to wait. So in any case, and they're still coming down what we can and can't do. That we still are not sure of what some of the rules are going to be. There's there was a lot of talk about revitalizing neighborhoods, and vacant properties and things like that. And we don't know if the dollars have to follow HUD guidelines or not. You know, if that becomes one of the things we do, there are things, real kind of specific things we don't know right now still. So, in any case, so you'll be hearing much more about that, but that's where we are right now. So you should be hearing something very soon. I also wanted to talk very briefly about the violence that occurred downtown 2 weeks ago. I mean, this is our main branch's neighborhood. You know, it's a neighborhood of many other people who are living downtown now. And of course, we've been having issues across the city for several years, and it's in the last couple of years, it seems to have escalated. And it's a different kind of, violence. It is, you know, sometimes there would be shots fired, but, and then occasionally someone hurt, but now it's like sometimes two people. And this is, the police are seeing something different happening. It is gang related. It is very difficult to get a handle on the people involved, if even victims. Often there's not much cooperation in following up. So it is very frustrating indeed. And so what, in terms of dealing with this particular, and you know, we can spend a lot of time talking about the social, economic, and the environment in which this is happening. And no one, I think, wants to discount that. But right now, on how do we kind of deal with this immediate thing that's happening? One of the things downtown, the top of the ramps have sort of become an attractive nuisance. And so those are closed. Those top floors are closed, except for Red, White, and Boom. They'll be open that night so families can go and enjoy it as they have. But they're closed otherwise. And there is that's okay in terms of the number of people that are using the ramps. It's not going to push people out of the ramps, you know, that typically use them. And that's two ramps. It's the Harrison ramp and the Redstone ramp. The other ramp does not tend to be an issue. It's a different kind of, you know, it's just a different situation. So the mayor has reached out to, the governor has reached out to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. They're asking for assistance. Asking for assistance from other law enforcement agencies, federal and state, asking that when, if there is a situation where someone is taken in because of a gun crime, that it be looked at and scrutinized more closely in terms of release, because that's an issue. So he has asked and has been told and assured there will be assistance you know, from those kind of folks as well. A tremendous number of these guns are stolen. We continue to have guns stolen out of cars that are unlocked or locked in trunks, and cars are stolen. People leaving keys in their cars. It's a huge vector. So anybody, if you know anyone who owns a gun, please make sure that they're being responsible about how they deal with it. And so, you know, this is an ongoing, and I don't know how you deal with that, except try to make sure that responsible people who own guns are being very, very responsible about them. But I just wanted to mention that today. I know that's not a lot of information, but this is, you know, of great concern, obviously, and not just downtown, but it helped to draw focus in a way which allowed, I think, more action. So we will continue. We're also looking at more cameras downtown. We're also looking at do we need to have gates downtown again? Because we now have a system where you go in and you go back and you type in, you know, it's like they have in Chicago for parking. And we are thinking maybe we need to have gates again. They did get everybody that was up on the deck, the 80 people or whatever, all the cars that were there that left, we have all their license plates. So this is not rocket science. These are not rocket sciences. So we do have that evidence, and so, so anyway, so hopefully we will get some more information on that. And we need people to step forward who know what happened also, who were witness. So that's kind of it. I don't want to overreach on that, but thought I would share that.
Okay, thank you, Marion. Any questions? Okay, carry on. Next item on the agenda is new business. First item there is motion to approve administrative policies, sections 3 through 6. May I have a motion in that regard?
Make a motion?
Okay, thank you, Judy. Is there a second? Okay, thank you, Amanda. Discussion. Jennifer, are you going to, was there going to be any, I guess there weren't a lot of changes as I looked through them anyway. So is there any discussion on the policy sections 3 through 6? We discussed them at our last meeting, but just want to make sure there wasn't anything more. Okay. If not, I'll call for the vote. Joe?
Yes.
Thank you. Malavika?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Maggie?
Yes.
Thank you. Amanda?
Yes.
Thank you. And my own vote is yes, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is review of the ADA checklist regarding facility approaches and entrances.
So this is not an action item, but the board does need to review these. This is part of our accreditation with the state library. So let's see, the last time, and it was a few years ago, the checklist related to the restroom facilities at all 3 locations. So we filled them out this time for the approaches and entrances to our buildings. At Eastern, so these are a few things we learned. At Eastern, the ADA parking signs are too low. The bottom of the sign is supposed to be 60 inches above the ground. And we have the same issue at Maine. So we'll be talking with city facilities maintenance staff about getting taller poles or somehow getting those out of the signs. It's the signs that indicate an ADA parking spot.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And at Maine, we will be looking at restriping the parking lot for accessible van parking spots. So right now we don't have one that meets the requirements in terms of width for somebody who's using a van that has a side entrance. Okay. And the entrance doors at Maine are a 1/2 inch too narrow. So, but that would require like redoing all the doors. So we'll put that one on hold for a little bit. Yeah. We have not had an issue with anybody in a wheelchair getting into Maine. So at Fairmont, all the entrances are good. The signs are high enough. But we did learn, and this doesn't relate to this specific checklist, we did learn when we had that first outdoor program that to get from the inside of the building to the story to the story garden, since that's all fenced off from the outside, that is not accessible. So we'll be checking with facilities maintenance staff to see what kind of thing we could do there. So and I think that's about it. So again, this is an agenda item. The board needs to review these for our accreditation. So I think that we can have to run. Always super interesting to do it, and we almost always learn of some little fix that we can do in order to make things more accessible for everybody. So.
Any questions, comments on the
So
ADA
there is a specific list of, for example, the sign for a parking spot has to be so far off the ground and all the rest of this stuff. There's a specific list of ADA requirements that you can walk through.
Yeah, and basically that's what these checklists do. They indicate what the standard is as we're going through. Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting. The city put the ADA, they put those up to begin with, right?
Yes.
Would have been, so maybe I should ask them to check everything. Maybe it changed also,
Yeah.
but that's a good, that may be a good thing.
Yeah, we were actually surprised as we looked at it that the standard was at 60 inches because that's, so that's 5 foot. You think of things being lower, but I think it was so you can see over a car
Yeah.
as you're driving in.
Yep.
More visible, so.
You might want to check the parking ramps too, because theirs are way too high. At least down across from the,
Are they higher than 5 feet? You
oh
think?
yeah, it's up in
Well,
the,
they can be over
can be-
5 feet.
up in the rafter?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They can,
My
the
steps-
bottom, it's the accessibility is the bottom has to be 60 inches above the ground.
Okay, well, my stepson didn't see it, got a big ticket.
Well, that's, there's that problem too. Yeah, they need to be where you can see them, where they jump out at you. I guess.
Yeah, and I'm betting that the placement is for folks who need the parking spot, not for people who shouldn't be parking.
Right, but
Yeah.
he wouldn't have parked there had he
Right,
seen it.
sure,
Yeah.
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 Okay. No, it is, as we saw with the restrooms a year or two ago, it's like, it's amazing all the things that get measured.
Yeah.
Half inch,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no doors is fine.
Yeah, very good.
Well, I want to say, yeah, well, I guess I don't know what the requirement was there.
So then we don't need to do anything with this.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, moving on. Oops. Next item on the agenda is a motion to approve closing the main library at 4 p.m. on Thursday, August 19th, 2021 for a special event.
So moved.
Thank you, Joe. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Malavika. I have a motion and a second to approve closing the main library at 4 p.m. on Thursday, August 19th, 2021 for a special event. Is there any discussion?
What's
This
the
is
event?
for,
So this is for, this is during alternating currents. It's the first night of alternating currents. So the staff is putting together an event that's going to be in some levels kind of similar to the LPs and libations that we did previously, where we had downtown businesses provide samples of food and beverage and chocolates and things like that to help publicize, and market those events. And then also there'll be some local history display in honor of Iowa's 175th. And we hope to be able to show off the renovations here at Maine. We'll have, they're looking to get some of the QC Beats artists that are on part of that
Okay.
streaming service that we have
Great.
for local musicians to perform.
That
So
would be great.
should be a nice event.
Yeah.
So the library will be open, just not for regular business.
Correct. Yep.
If you're coming in to use the internet, you might not want to.
Yeah, we've tried this a couple different ways and to say like, well, we're gonna have this event, but if you wanna come in and use the library for regular things, we're okay with that. But it doesn't work in terms of staffing
No.
because you get people who are like, oh, I need help with my resume. Could you help me? What's going on? And,
Yeah.
yeah, and it just gets to be kind of a challenge and I think sets up expectations for patrons about, they can register for library cards and do all the things that they're used to doing and we just don't have the staffing to really kind of do all that. So.
So this is going to be in the list of alternating currents
Yes.
events.
Yep.
Just a comment too, Amy mentioned the QC Beats. If you haven't looked at that, it's pretty interesting. It's, local music and so there's some interesting stuff there. Okay. So, excuse me, back to the motion. The motion is to approve closing the main library at 4 p.m. on Thursday, August 19th, 2021 for a special event. Call for the vote. Malavika,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Maggie,
Yes.
thank you. Amanda?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And my own vote is yes, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda is old business. We have none. And next item is to adjourn. So may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Tom, thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Amanda. Have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. Just do that by acclamation. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye, Maggie.
Bye.